Hi neighbors. This video is about the Weber MasterTouch 22-inch Kettle Grill. It covers the unboxing, assembly, and preparation for first-time use of the grill. We are a small channel, just getting starting out, so we would really appreciate it if you like the video, share it, and subscribe. We look forward to sharing more videos in the future, so let's get started. Today's unboxing and assembly will cover the Weber MasterTouch 22-inch Kettle Grill. The grill comes neatly packaged in a manageable size box. Easy enough to pick up in your car or whatever, or even to have it delivered to your home. So, first we encounter the typical user guide and other advertising information. Contained in this wrapping are the charcoal briquette holders. These can be used to either organize your charcoal for direct or indirect grilling. There's the user assembly guide. Barbecue lid. In this package is the lower ring that goes below the body of the grill, along with the ash receptacle and some of the miscellaneous parts. There we have the wheel covers, assorted hardware, handles, and that contains the thermometer. Bracing and lid handle, and as I mentioned, the lower ring and the ash receptacle. Here we have the base of the grill with the integrated damper and ash cleanout fins. This is the one leg of the tripod that holds the base stable, and the two other legs of the grill. Two plastic wheels, a warming rack, and this is the lower shelf that ties the legs together and serves as the axles for the plastic wheels. Now we have the cooking grate with the side charcoal adding flap. This is the charcoal grate. And part of the bracing to hold the lid on the side of the barbecue. At this point, that's the complete contents of the shipping box. Now we move on to the assembly. We take the base and we'll be attaching the lower ring to the base. This ring, you slide it over the ash lever, and there are little clips that clip into the leg holders, holding it securely. So now we get out this little spring clips for the legs. They're a little V-shaped clip with a button on them that pops into the hole, attaching the leg to the base. Pretty straightforward little spring clips. Now we take the longer of the legs to stabilize the base of the barbecue, and we will attach the little spring clips into the bottom. Now it should be noted that I put them into the leg the way that it shows in the instructions, but that had part of the V-clip sticking out showing out the bottom of the leg, which presented some problems, which we'll see in a few minutes. But in essence, we rotate it, align the handle, choosing the leg receptacle that's directly in line with the handle, and we place the leg into the base. This was the only part of the whole assembly that was quite difficult to get it pulled off. A couple of complicating factors ran into here. First of all, it's hard to push the leg in. You're only allowed to twist it. You're not supposed to bang it or wiggle it back and forth. You will notice me wiggling it back and forth several times in a vain attempt to get it to fit. There was a little piece of metal jutting out inside these leg receptacles that was binding on the legs, which made it difficult to insert. But the biggest problem encountered was the little V-clips. They would push in because they stuck out past the bottom of the legs. So I inverted them so that the V portion no longer stuck past the bottom of the leg, kind of backwards, and was able to get them in. I don't know, some of you folks may want to leave in the comments if you've had a different experience or other tricks, or if I did that wrong, but that was the only way I could get that in. It was really tempting to reach for that hammer on the side and bang it in like you're not supposed to. Anyways, on to the legs that hold the wheels. There's two holes. You put your clip in, aligning in this particular case with the hole on the right, which would then go to the leg receptacle that's to the right in this orientation of the handle. Once again, I had to flip the clips around a different way than they showed in the instructions. Wiggle it back and forth. You're only supposed to twist and turn it, and force and align and get that in. Repeated that on the other legs. Grab the base to put it in. There basically is a hook that goes into the longer leg, and then the axles go between the other two legs to show. And here's where I ran into my second issue, where the instructions were not clear, and on the leg that was on the left hand side of the handle, as in this orientation, you needed to put the clip into the left hand hole,
not the right hand hole on the leg. This was not shown anywhere in the instructions, but pretty straight fix. Pull that thing out, move the spring clip over to the other hole, the left hand side hole on the leg, and reinsert it back into the receptacle on the bottom of the grill. In essence, what you want to try to do is to make sure that the flat parts of those legs that hold the wheels are parallel to each other, so the axle portion of the lower shelf can connect between them. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy mistake that I made, pretty easy to fix, but I'm pretty sure others, let's put it this way, I'm sure I wasn't the only one that made that mistake. So get this corrected, get this in, get the legs lined up. As you can see, a little bit of a show to get those legs into the receptacle properly. But this was the only part of the build that was even remotely difficult. I don't know, maybe Weber could look at this and find a better way of doing it. Hard to twist those legs on a hot day. Anyways, so at this point, we'll put that lower shelf bracket in place. Unfortunately, the camera, you can't see what I'm doing there, but basically aligning the there's an axle, a hole that goes between the legs, and you put the shelf, there's a hook on it, you put that into the supporting leg, and then place the shelf and axing between the wheel legs. Not a problem. So it's at this point, putting on the wheels, that you'll encounter that, you know, probably would be nice to have a third set of hands, keep dropping it, gravity working against me. But, you know, without thinking too much, flipped it on its side. There's a little cap that goes onto the end of the wheels. And you'll put the wheels flat side out, indented side facing inwards. Gave it a light tap. Probably not the smartest thing to do on top of a glass table, but I got away with it here. Tap them on with a hammer. No real force required to hold the wheels on. It's a friction fit little item. Then the little cover for the support leg. Just pop that on. And we'll turn the corner past all the difficult parts here. These are the wheel covers. So again, there's little pegs that stick out. They flip, just squeeze onto the wheels on the outer side. Snap fit, not a problem. Put on the other one. Snap it in place. Okay, now we're getting up the pieces for the bracket that holds the lid, little lid holder that comes with this model. Put it in through the holes, making sure that you align this brace up correctly. Somehow I managed to get it flipped upside down originally. Once again, pretty straightforward. You put it on the rail so that the curvature matches the curvature of the base. Connect the wire hanger with the spacer, washer, and then a washer and the supplied nut inside. It was at this point during the assembly that, as I was finger tightening these nuts and getting ready to finger tight the third nut that holds the brace, that it became a little bit of a curiosity why they had only indicated that you needed a screwdriver and a hammer to assemble this. it seemed to me at this point that they were missing information about requiring a wrench. So I went and grabbed myself an open-ended wrench. Here I am putting on the brace on the bottom, connects that wire to a third hole. Make sure the little groove on that brace is facing out. Pretty straightforward. But as you'll find out later in the instructions, as you get to put on the handle for the lid, they actually supply in that package for the handle a little plastic wrench that could be utilized at this phase. No mention of it in the instructions, but we could utilize it this phase. I'd recommend just getting yourself an open-ended socket set or a wrench and put it on. Okay, so put in the ash bucket below, clips in. Now we'll just set the grates in place, the charcoal grate first, followed by the cooking grate. It's tied with some zip ties, which you'll need to remove, obviously. And just for appearances, we'll throw the the warming rack in on top of the cooking grate. Now we'll get the handle. And I should have mentioned earlier that so inside this plastic bag is the two parts of the handle, but the screw is not in that bag. It's in a bag that contained the miscellaneous components earlier, and it would have been really easy to have thrown that piece of plastic out that contained that screw. So just keep track of that earlier in the phase when you're putting together all the other components. Find that plastic bag, got the screw. Plastic handle just clips around the metal portion on the base. Make sure you get the lettering facing up. Tighten the screw, but don't over tighten. In essence, this will complete the assembly of the lower half of the grill. All downhill from here. Let's move the grill out of the way. Grab ourselves the lid. Now in this red packaging is the handle for the lid along with a hand shield. And at this point I discovered the little plastic wrench that they'd included in there. Not sure if it would have tightened the nuts inside the base enough, but it would have been nice to have had that mentioned earlier in the instructions. Remove the nuts from the bottom of the lid handle. Place it on the lid. And tighten the nuts from inside using that supplied plastic wrench. It's a loose fitting wrench, so you can't really over tighten here and warp the lid or anything. Alright, next we'll put on the thermometer and its base. Comes in a little green package. To unwrap all the plastic that's tied up around it. A little wing nut to hold it on. Just attach the base to the lid. There's a little slot and it helps you align that base correctly. Just pushes onto the lid. Place the thermostat inside that base. Once again, taking care to orient the lettering of the thermostat, the thermometer I should say, up correctly, and attach with the supplied wing nut. And in essence, that's the end of the assembly of the barbecue. Pretty straightforward and easy. The only challenge at all was the attachment of those legs, getting them to secure into the leg holders correctly. But overall, very quick and easy to do. Job done. Now let's go over some of the features of the Master Touch 22-inch grill by Weber with its gourmet barbecue system. So first you have the handle with its heat shield on top to help protect your hand against the heat when you're lifting it, a hot barbecue lid. Warming rack, help keep some of your items up and away from the coals or the heat as you're cooking. Now, part of the gourmet barbecue system is this middle part of the grate. Just lifts out. And Weber sells a large, well, several items anyways that can go into that center item. Probably the most useful would be the steak cooking rack. The grill has flaps on each side to allow you to add additional charcoal or smoking wood without removing the grill and the food. Inside are these relatively light, thin briquette holders. Allows you to do different positions of charcoal placement, indirect on each side, indirect on one side, or probably the most useful would be the direct in the middle. I would see myself doing normal pile the grills on charcoals on one side for indirect. Charcoal goes on the charcoal grill. And in the base is Weber's damper and ash cleaning system. There's a lever down here that controls those dampers. You can either slash it back and forth to get rid of old ashes, or adjust it so that you get the right amount of airflow. Below is the ash catchment system, basically a pan that the ashes fall down to. Remove it and dispose of your burnt ashes. Usually you'll find when you're cooking with these barbecues that you keep that damper on the bottom wide open during cooking. This is how you'd place the charcoals if you were doing direct grilling using the attachments or features that go into the center system. All right, so putting it all back together. There's the handle here on the handle. There's a couple of hooks for hanging your tools. And on the lid you have the larger vent which you do most of your temperature control from. Once again, most of the time you're grilling, that'll be wide open. And on the other side you have the built-in integrated thermometer. Okay, so let's go through what you need to do to initially prepare the grill for first time use. I'll go ahead and use my chimney to get a chimney full of coals going. Some people like to wipe oil and do all kinds of stuff to the inside of these grills. None of it's necessary. It's stainless steel, porcelain covered steel. You don't have to do anything. You may want to just run through a load of coals just to burn off any industrial oils or anything like that, which have already been cleaned off at the factory, but just for your own peace of mind. So I load up a load of coal, or charcoal briquettes I should say, get them lit. And as those go ahead and get going. They'll take about 10 or 15 minutes to come to full temperature. I'll take off the grills, put a load of charcoal in the base and the body of the grill. You don't have to get carried away. You don't have to put a whole bunch in there. You don't have to get this thing screaming hot. But just run a batch through. Normally you would just use a chimney full of coals for most cooking that you're doing on these grills, at least relatively short duration. But for this one-time use, I'm going to take a bunch of briquettes in addition to what I'm lighting in the coal chimney. Dump a bunch in the bag, put a bunch in the charcoal holders, as well as scatter some around. Arrange them, spread them kind of evenly. You're not going to be cooking anything on this. You're just going to run a load of charcoal through, and then you'll get to grilling a whole bunch of delicious backyard cooks. And that'll be how your grill gets seasoned. Okay, so the coals are glowing red, as you can see. It took about 10-15 minutes or so. You can dump them in, scatter them around. Be careful of the chimney. It can get hot. It might be well advised to use some sort of heat resistant glove. And that's about it. We got the coals going. They'll cook for a couple hours like that, heating it up. I put the grills back on, cooking grills in the smoker, or the warming rack. But once again, these are stainless steel, so you're really not going to do anything to modify their nature or anything like that. You just, in essence, cleaning off any cooking oil. Put the lid on, let it go. There you go. Now you're ready for some backyard grilling.
Okay, well that concludes today's video. Hope you found it informative. We're a small channel, just getting going, so your subscriptions, likes, and shares are very important to us. So if you enjoyed it, please take a minute, and we look forward to seeing you in our future videos.